What is good, defenders, and good morning? It is 8:30 in the morning on a beautiful Labor Day, Monday morning. Hopefully, all of you that are listening right now are off of work and able to at least enjoy a Labor Day despite the effort from LAFC. And I'll say this, the effort wasn't terrible. It was the execution that certainly could have gone better. You know my voice. It's the scarf. J.R. Liebert in front of these beautiful scarves. The scarf wall is back and in full effect. But as I was just discussing off air with my partner in pod, I actually think he's got more scarves up behind him than I do somehow. Everybody from world famous Phil Monster Studios here on episode 380 of Defenders of the Bank, the LAFC podcast that your mother warned you about. I give you one Christian Philly Philemon.
Good morning, afternoon, or evening to each and every one of you out there. And yes, welcome to a commiserating episode of Defenders of the Bank. Like Scarf said, my name is Philly, and I refer to myself by many names. Today, I will refer to myself as the flustered and fatigued flamingo. I'd like to start off by thanking the millions
and millions
for allowing us the ability to invade your auditory canals with a pod that will no doubt be sour and full of frustrations. This is our therapy, and a healthy form of therapy that doesn't involve crawling in and out of a bottle and spending time with individuals who don the names of Jack, Jim, Jose, Johnny, Morgan, McAllen, Mary, Guinness, 1800, and so on and so forth. I hate having to wake up and pod early. I hate it even more when I have to pod about an L sustained by LAFC. I hate it even more when it comes from a team from San Diego. And I know some SD folk out there and those that have no brain cells and minds of their own that simply spit regurgitated retorts are about to say, tweet, or DM the same stupid garbage that I've heard 1,000 times over. So allow me to take that away from you. Yes, I am salty. No, I am not crying, and complaining is how I'm coping. So now that we've addressed the parroted songbird idiots out there, let me move forward. As many of you know, I've been a broadcaster in the Major Arena Soccer League going on 6 seasons. The team that I've called games for, the Empire Strikers, formerly the Ontario Fury, have had trouble beating a team out of San Diego for years called the Sockers. And that is the only team in that city that has any degree of success. Sadly, most San Diegans don't even know that, but you will, and I will make sure of that. Losing to the Sockers from San Diego has been a source of my consistent frustration and fatigue, and now I'm facing it with our beloved LAFC. Scarf, LAFC is not beaten San Diego. March, we lost 3-2, and now at home, 2-1. It sickens me, and it could have, should have, would have. But the excuses are not going to come up with any. I'm not going to waste your time pondering the what ifs. What is an absolute certainty, though, is that our club struggles to finish. They had their chances. Oh, they had their chances. We outshot Brillo Pad FC, because that is indeed what their logo looks like, or a sink drain stopper. Yes, San Diego, your logo sucks just as much as LAFC's performance was against you. And the only difference, though, is we can move on from the L, and you're stuck with a logo that's still and always will be an L.
Yeah, look, the frustrating part about this one is that I could hear already all of the Dolo out haters going, oh, look, another disappointing performance. I have a question for all of you out there. What is Steve Cherundolo supposed to do other than put the boys in a position to create chance after chance after chance? I think, if anything, last night, what we heard in and around BMO Stadium for at least the final 15, 20 minutes of that match was the frustration at what was going on the pitch, not on the sideline. It was frustrating to watch Denis Bouanga flub not one, but maybe 2 or 3 good chances. It was frustrating. Dare I say a negative thing about Sonny? Here we go. It was frustrating watching him pass a little bit too much when we might have wanted him to shoot. Although 3 of the best chances of the night came off the foot of Son Heung-min. Philly's good friend, Wally Post, made an appearance in this one. It was frustrating to watch an offense that couldn't find its creativity from the midfield, going with two midfielders instead of three because Timothy Tillman and obviously what we'll talk about in a second, Igor Jesus, both being out for this match. So finding the creativity in the midfield was lacking for the most part. And what was most frustrating, hey, Carlos, welcome to the chat, my friend. What was most frustrating to me is watching the team on the other side of the pitch not being given very many chances, Philly, but being as clinical as they needed to be on just the couple of chances that they got. And somebody, please put Nkosi Tafari on a milk carton because the defender has gone missing, and whoever is taking his place over these last couple of matches, it has been awful.
In particular with that first goal by Chucky Lozano. We'll address that. But yeah, no, dude, we outshot SDFC 16-6 with 9-1 in the final 24 minutes plus stoppage. No doubt LAFC is talented and can create their chances. There's no denying that. But yes, what gets me is the fact that we can't put away opponents with all the opportunities that we have. And this has been a tale that has repeated itself all season long. With hardly any attempts, our opponents' conversion rate is just significantly higher than ours. And as we know in a game that, no one gives a toot about how we outplayed a team on the stat sheet. It's the score on the score sheet that matters, and we just couldn't get it done last night. And what should have been a glorious home debut for our newest signing, and I'm not meaning Alexandru Baluta, which we'll talk about, but for Son Heung-min. Look, I am a man of many props. Plush dolls, Funko Pops, hats, beer bongs. But if I had an egg, I would crack it on my face just to say that I've been left with an egg on my face. And believe you me, I went right to the fridge this morning and realized we are out of eggs. But last night's game just demoralized me, left a sour taste, and I am not a very happy Philly. But I do intend to exercise this demon and forget about this game as quickly as I can because, man, oh man, last night as an LAFC supporter sucked. As a neutral, highly entertaining game, and begrudgingly so as an STFC person, you got to be riding cloud nine because your team really is that good. Your players, in particular, Anders Dreyer, absolutely impressed me. Is that good? Again, left with egg on my face.
I would like to remind our good friends at Yerba Mate how much I enjoy your beverage, Yerba Mate. And I know that you are involved with LAFC as a sponsor. We've talked out on Christmas Tree Lane at FanFest. We at Defenders really enjoy Yerba Mate and could use a sponsor. It's amazing how sometimes those things work out. Cinnamon Toast Crunch, by the way, gonna have some right after the episode. Just throwing it out there. Little Yerba Mate and Cinnamon Toast Crunch love. Philly,
Sadly,
I got to talk
we're
about
not
one
going to be able to
thing.
get Topo Chico's scarf because I noticed it at Dignity Health Sports Park watching their game the other night.
Yeah.
So I don't even know if I should drink this anymore.
Listen, I got to talk about one thing, Philly, before we get into our normal This Day in LAFC history, news and notes, and then, of course, a game recap. I thought in the 8 years that we have been attending matches at BMO Stadium, Philly, I thought that the coolest thing that has ever happened on the pitch in all 8 years happened last night. And that's not the home debut of Son Heung-min. It wasn't, any of the performances by any of the players or any of the coaches or anybody in the stands. To me, the most impactful single moment that I have experienced at BMO Stadium, and shout out to Jason Micknook for being able to be a part of this last night. To me, having Dolores Huerta, 95-year-old Dolores Huerta, as the honorary Falconer last night, I was brought to tears watching her come out onto the pitch. If you don't know who Dolores Huerta is, please look her up. She, along with Cesar Chavez, is responsible for so much of the labor movement that happened in the 60s and beyond. Anytime you have a woman who, like, the first line in her bio is everything with Cesar Chavez, and then, oh, by the way, the first Latina woman elected to the Women's Hall of Fame, like, what are we talking about here? Out of all the great women that have ever lived, she's the first Latina who got it. Like, I'm just seeing Dolores Huerta at 95 years old come out onto the pitch and be our honorary Falconer for the night. Even Eric Smith, our public address announcer, told everybody in the stadium, like, everybody, put it together for Dolores Huerta. And he said, even our San Diego fans can understand what this means. It was, look, we've had Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, who's an incredible civil rights leader. We've had some incredible honorary Falconers in our time. But Philly, I had to take a second on the pod this morning to just talk about, I teach my kids about Dolores Huerta, and you think of her as like some untouchable icon, 95 years old, obviously, but just Philly, it moved me in a way that I don't think I've ever been moved at BMO Stadium before.
And I can attest to that because I even heard you. What's wild, man, is like at 95, she still looks outstanding. And like when they mentioned who it was, I kind of flipped out too. I mean, she's almost outlived Cesar Chavez by like 30 years. It's insane. Just to read a little bit off of LAFC's post, look, in 62, Dolores and Cesar Chavez established the National Farm Workers Association and later helped co-found the United Farm Workers Association. There's so much to this woman. I mean, the Eleanor Roosevelt Human Rights Award and the Presidential Medal of Freedom. I mean, this is a big deal. Obviously, we all have our ways of getting somewhat starstruck by all the awesome athletes and entertainers out there that we have in this beautiful city called Los Angeles. But when you come across somebody of this magnitude like Dolores Huerta, it kind of blows your mind and realizes just how incredible some people can truly be throughout their lifetime.
Yeah, man. Again, like kudos to whomever in the LAFC organization, and Carlos Alzraki has it right. Si se puede for sure. Whoever was able to make this happen, especially obviously with San Diego coming in and the farming communities down there and the migrant communities down there and everything that's been going on in our nation and certainly in our state and in our city over the Daniel's like, all right, guys, shut up. You guys are talking about everything but the game. But I just, whoever in the front office did that, kudos to you. All right, Philly, let's get into this day in LAFC history and then a quick news and notes. Philly's got a couple, and I'm super excited to finally be able to talk to Philly about one of our new acquisitions because Philly may find himself working for the club in a freelance position every now and again, which would be one of the coolest things. Absolutely. Look, this day in LAFC history, Philly, friend of the pod, but also, might I say now, indoor soccer legend. Happy birthday. If you are listening to this pod, it is September 1st, but the match happened on August 31st. Happy birthday to friend of the pod and our very first interview guest here on Defenders of the Bank, goalkeeper Philip Ejimadu. Philly is the only person not in the Ejimadu family who owns a Philip Ejimadu jersey. I can vouch for it. He has worn it on many occasions. Philip, we know you listen to the podcast because you've been on and you were an incredible first interview for us. Philly, you know I love you. I love this phrase, but you know it's true. One of the nicest people that we have ever met here on the pod. Yesterday was his birthday. And I got to say one other thing, Philly. If anybody's going to get one-upped in one of the nicest people we've ever met, it's the birthday of today. Number 23, MLS legend Kai Kamara. I mean, Philip Ejimadu and Kai Kamara born on back-to-back days. Wouldn't it be nice to have a guy like Kai Kamara on the club still? I mean, look, he's doing his thing in FC Cincinnati. I don't think he's scored for them yet this season, but I am certainly rooting for him to do that. But happy birthdays to both Philip Ejimadu and Kai Kamara. And look, we played 2 matches on September 1st in our club's history back in 18 and 19. And I want to mention one, just one. Normally, I would like to talk about everything we do on this day in LAFC history. But on September 1st, 2019, we played Minnesota United at home, Philly, and absolutely dominated. And I mean dominated. 77% possession. 23-5 on shots, 15-1 on corners. And Philly, we completed 811 passes in 90 minutes, and we lost 2-0 to Mason Toy. Sometimes
an Indiana Hoosier,
sport,
by the way.
What's that?
An Indiana Hoosier.
Yeah, I was waiting for it. I knew it was coming. Sometimes this sport, no matter how you dominate on the pitch, and I really do believe LAFC, most of that match against San Diego, Philly, we looked like the better club. But yet, the soccer gods have a funny way of metering out their accomplishments and rewards, and I think that's what we felt. So I wanted to talk about that real quick. On this day in LAFC history, we lose 2-0 on a team that had 5 shots from the Hoosier, Mason Toy. Philly, the worst news possible came down, obviously, with Igor Jesus now being out for the rest of 2025 and likely part of 2026. This was a tough one with the loss of Jesus. He had played in 37 matches for us already this season. And don't let the stats on the back of the Topps card fool you. Yes, just 1 goal and 1 assist. But he meant obviously so much more in the midfield than any of his scoring stats. And by the way, when you're given the keys to the number 6 and you replace a legend like Ilie Sanchez, that really shows what the club thinks about you, Philly. Igor Jesus out for the rest of the year. This one hurts.
Yeah, man. ACL, if there is any kind of silver lining, is the fact that he's 22. So he may have the ability to recover from this quicker than other people his age, not named Zlatan Ibrahimovic. The thing about those kinds of injuries, it's the physical part can be fixed. The rehab part can be fixed. It's the aftermath and what happens after the physical therapy and once the training actually begins. It's the second guessing yourself, making those sprints, making those cuts, because you'll have in the back of your mind how it occurred. And if you go back to watch how it occurred, there was nobody really around him. There was non-contact. You just saw him crumble. And that's an unfortunate injury that I would say 25 years ago or 30 years ago would probably derail an athlete's career. In this case, not so much with the modernization of how doctors do these things within the surgeries. And I've got somebody who's been a part of ACL surgeries a ton in the other room, and that of my wife, Amanda. But yeah, it's more so the mental game that is the most interesting that could come about this. But at 22, and the fact that he's married with kids, it'll have an impact. And the reason why I say that, because he's not going to sit there and get out of shape. He's got a family. He knows he has to be more responsible. He has to be a lot more responsible than a single 22-year-old. And I do think we'll see him a lot sooner than we would otherwise.
Yeah, look, if there's one thing that we know, right, it's that Igor Jesus puts in the work. And Igor Jesus extremely confident. I mean, there are a couple times where he's on the ball and he's like in our own 18 and trying to get through 3 or 4 or 5 defenders. Look, we're going to miss this kid a lot. And we already saw it a little bit, right, in the formation change. Obviously, being down Timothy Tillman hurt, but losing a guy like Igor Jesus, it's a rough one. I know the other nice part about all of this, though, is that we have a guy like Marky Delgado on the club who I know is going to get, in Jesus's ear and make sure that he comes back ready to roll. The veteran Marky Delgado in his 14th season, I believe, in Major League Soccer. Before we talk about our new signing, Philly, we've seen him up in Founders for most of the season. I'll be perfectly honest. When I asked him how he was doing a couple of matches ago, his answer was, nah. And it was kind of the signs were there. The writing was on the wall. Anyone who's been following the team closely enough knows the unfortunate situation with Maxim, Chanot, and finally, unfortunately, forced to retire due to lingering concussion symptoms. And a guy, Philly, who was an absolute rock for us when he was healthy on the back line. And man, would I like to pair him next to an Aaron Long or an Eddie Segura much more than what we've seen from Nkosi Tavares so far. Maxime Chanot done as a professional in soccer.
Heck of a career, man. Maxim at 35 has seen some things, 71 caps with Luxembourg while captaining them. And his MLS career has also been equally as fantastic. 237 appearances in all competitions for LAFC and NYCFC. I mean, the guy was a pivotal part and an important part of NYCFC's MLS Cup run 2021 when they beat Portland in what was a really epic MLS Cup final up until the LAFC Philadelphia Union game. But yeah, it sucks to see him go out in that way. I know that's probably not the way he would have wanted it either. And perhaps that retirement might have come at the conclusion of the season, but it just goes to show you like how much of an impact that the concussion had, because he was laid up for all the games. To your point, he was in the back, literally behind me and to the left, sitting with LAFC's technical director, Neil, and the rest of the LAFC technical staff. Just unfortunate that that's the case for him. But again, thank you so much for what you've done for the club, Maxim Chanot, and thank you for beating Portland back in 2021 and showing everybody in New York that at that time it was blue, not that New Jersey energy drink red crap.
The single smallest championship banner that I have ever seen in my life.
I'm sure they're going to make up for it in the new stadium, though.
I hope so, because if you guys have a chance to Google what it looks like at Yankee Stadium, it is sad at best. That
size of John Cena's like little towels,
right?
He just plays before he runs out to the ring.
And just like John Cena,
you can't see me.
You can't see it. That's for sure. I love that we did that at the same time. We're so stupid sometimes.
Sometimes.
Philly, look, you have been clamoring for it ever since NYCFC signed Alexandru Baluta. I know that there have maybe been one or two others sprinkled throughout the league in the last couple of seasons, but nobody to really do a whole lot other than maybe Alexandru Matan, right? I think is the
he was only around for 2 seasons, but he did win a chip.
Yeah. So I think what we are all alluding to, everybody, if you don't know this about Philly, he is Romanian and his roots go back very, very deep. Not only that, his father's roots go back very, very deep in the Romanian game. And Philly has long told me, by the way, when we first met, he was regaling me of all of the tales of Romanian soccer. And one club in particular was Steaua Bucharest. And it was really cool to see that all kind of come full circle with the announcement of Baluta. And I'm going to get out of the way and let Philly talk about our newest signing up top, Alexandru Baluta.
Not to confuse many of y'all, because obviously you associate Germany with me. And yes, that's true. I've lived there for 4 years. My dad's side of the family lived in between Augsburg and Munich. I've got ties to Bayern Munich, as you saw in that LAFC Bayern Munich video that they did a couple of years ago. And I do relate more to the German aspect of my family than the Romanian side, just because of the fact that I live there. But truth be told, both my mom and dad do hail from the city of Bucharest. They immigrated to the States, leaving communist Romania in the 70s, had me, firstborn in my family, in the U.S., and my first language was Romanian. And my dad being a massive fan of Steaua Bucharest, heck, I have this thing here right in front of me. Interesting, intriguing, and historical club that's kind of going through some chaos right now. I mean, still talented, but it's in the Steaua Bucharest podcast. But check out the Copa 90, the team that has no name. It's a wild story. Now, our newest signing, Alexandru Baluta, small little Romanian player, 5'5", coming in from that team. He's signed through the remainder of 2025 with the option for 2026, of course, pending the receipt of his international transfer certificate, and something that's been a plague for USL and Major Arena Soccer League, that P1 visa. He's going to be a talented player. He started off his career in the second tier for a team called Targoviște before moving on over to Farul. Well, now it's Farul, but Viitorul Constanța. For those old enough to remember the 1994 World Cup that was in the U.S., the Romanians had an unbelievably talented player by the name of George Hagi, the Carpathian Maradona. This guy had a hell of a career. Look for Hagi's goals on your YouTubes. See what he did in the World Cup. The guy's world class. He started this team that Baluta played for. And that's in a beautiful city called Constanța, fourth largest city in Romania, right on the Black Sea, something worth checking out. He played at Universitatea Craiova, one of the best teams in Romania, won the title there, had a decent career, moved on over to the Czech Republic, played a couple of teams for a team there, but then recently coming in from FCSB, which was once Steaua Bucharest, competed in the top flight of Romania. He should add some depth here. And yes, I am excited because I'll get to flex my Romanian muscle. Romanian was the first language that I learned. And I already told everybody at LAFC PR, you need that translator or anything along those lines. I do speak Romanian, which is something I don't get to do very often. And what makes me even more excited is the fact that my old man is excited about this. He never liked Matan, and he never liked Mitrița. And just to your point, Scarf, I believe that Baluta is going to be the 7th player throughout the history of Major League Soccer that has come from Romania. There's another player, and his name escapes me, that had a decent career. But I don't know how he's going to factor in, but my dad say this because he watches every FCSB game. Said this guy's highly talented, but highly temperamental as well, which is, I guess, the case for all people that come from that part of the world. But yeah, I am excited. FCSB, even for my birthday, my dad sent me an FCSB kid. So it's pretty cool to have a Romanian player on here and somebody that I could actually ask questions to in Romanian during the press conference. I can't wait for that opportunity to just shock everybody in the presser that has no idea what's coming for me to start asking questions in Romanian.
No, that's going to be pretty cool. I can't wait for that to actually happen because I know you're going to do it, and it's going to be great. Look, between him and Ryan Raposo, we stack them on top of each other, and you make one Kai Kamara. So it's going to be kind of fun to see those two guys out there because they're both little guys. Baluta's 5'5", but if that's what he's listed at, it's probably a little bit closer to 5'4", 5'3". But it's going to be a fun one to have Baluta. Last thing real quick, poor Daniel in the chat is like, I'm so done with these guys. LAFC has now partnered with KYPA 12:30 a.m. for Korean broadcasts on the radio for the remainder of the 2025 season. And look, I'll admit right out in front, I did not know who Hyunjun Lee and Kyung-Soo Park were before LAFC sent something out and we looked them up and everything. They've covered like 6 or 7 World Cups. They've covered everything from Chenho Park to Hyunjin Ryu and everybody else who's come through the Dodgers. It is an incredible honor to have our games called on the radio by both Lee Hyunjun and Park Kyung-Soo. Really, really cool that LAFC through the remainder of 2025 will have their broadcasts on 12:30 a.m. KYPA for Korean broadcasts. So if you are so inclined to listen to LAFC in Korean, it'll be on 12:30 a.m. KYPA. LAFC 2, by the way, won their last 2 matches, 4-0 and 1-0. Their next match is not until Sunday, September 4th at 1 o'clock at Timbers 2. And by the way, that match against Timbers 2, Philly, just one of 4 matches remaining in the MLS Next Pro season. It's the time that Daniel has been waiting for in the chat for quite some time. LAFC.
28 minutes and 16 seconds.
Yeah, we did all right with this one, huh? LAFC Philly closing out August with a whimper. That's right. It's this one hurt a little bit more. Obviously, we knew who San Diego was coming into the match. They have been probably the most impressive club this season in Major League Soccer. By the way, Philadelphia very quietly putting together a great season over in the West. But yeah, San Diego as an expansion club, as all of the expansion clubs since us and including us have seemed to have done, kind of hitting the ground running and getting better and better in their first seasons. We saw wonderful things like Andres is mentioning from Austin in their first season, from FC Cincinnati, from St. Louis in their first season.
Well, not FC Cincinnati their first year, Scarf.
What's that?
Well, not in their first year for FC Cincinnati.
That's true. They were dog water for a couple of years. But we've seen good things from a lot of these expansion clubs. Not to the level that we've seen it, though, with San Diego. And we'll see, again, if they are just a great regular season team and when it comes time for the playoffs, if they fold. But all they're doing right now is second in the Supporters Shield race, but first in the West, first team to clinch a playoff spot. I mean, they've done everything asked of them, including now beating us at home and away. And to me, what was far more impressive wasn't their home win against us, where they raced out to a 3-0 lead to hold on 3-2. It was going down at BMO Stadium 1-0, and then just kind of knocking every now and again and being very clinical with their chances. Philly, this one certainly frustrating. I will say this, though. Carlos Alzraki alluded to this in the chat as well. No Ryan Hollingshead, no Aaron Long, no Igor Jesus, no Timothy Tillman, no Jeremy Abobasi. I mean, just name after name after name, not just for our depth, but for starters, right? To have played them as well as we did, and to really feeling like we should have walked away with all 3 points. All things considered, if you're taking moral victories from this, which I think is absolute horsepucky, there are no moral victories in a match like this. But if you're trying to find silver linings and positives, I think that can be one of them.
Well, at least you took, that from me having to say during the lineups. They had 6 players out, but look, in all fairness, so did San Diego. Out, they had Corey Baird, Aiden Harangi, Marcus Invartson, Willie Camuto, Franco Negri, Oscar Verhoeven. They had a lot of their players that were out too, and a lot of them were some of the players that would rotate defensively. We alluded to this on One More Sleep, how we needed to go out there and attack that left side with the young Luca Bombino on there. And for the most part, we attacked, but that defense certainly stood its ground. And the egg on my face also comes from the fact that I said Dos Santos wasn't a great keeper. I feel like anytime that we've said the opposition's keeper isn't a good keeper, we've both been left with
but
egg
usually
on
it's
the
me,
face.
Philly.
Yeah, you're right. Mainly it's been you. From talking about Vancouver's keeper to Martin Paz, the list goes on. And I think we should just shut the F up about the opposition's keepers from here on out. But look, just to kind of combat your point, no excuses, because they had 6 guys out too.
Yeah, and look, that's the tough part, right? I do want to, I got to say something, Philly, because you and I were on opposite ends of this one. So I'm going to call it like I see it and call you out. You said making fun of picking on my boy Luca Bombino. And I've been a massive fan of Luca Bombino. 3rd highest rated player in the match, according to FOTMob, with a 7.6. Midfielder Yepe Tverskov is the 2nd highest rated player, and we all know who the highest rated player in this match was. Holy crap, was Anders Stryer good. Just want to mention that in his 90 minutes, Luca Bombino had the most tackles in the match, made 54 passes, 47 of them accurately, had 10 defensive contributions, and I have no idea what the hell that stat means. 75 touches, 5 passes into the final third, and won all 4 of his tackles, 3 clearances, 3 interceptions, 5 recoveries, and 4 out of 7 ground duels won.
Again,
Luca,
on my face.
Luca, I love you, buddy. I'm the one that had your back. Don't forget, you can send all your hate mail to philly@philly.com.
Or thank me, because clearly he listened and obviously up the level of game. I don't know. Egg on the face.
No, I love it. Look,
we the name of the pod. Egg on the face. Really wish I did have
talk
egg
about it. Unfortunately, no Corey Baird in this one. LAFC. He definitely didn't have that parent club clause in his contract that we were talking about, right, Ruben? That's for sure. LAFC, obviously, with the 4 guys who we knew would be out with De La Valle, Long, Abobasi, and Jesus. Ryan Hollingshead out for yellow card accumulation. No Corey Baird. No Milan Ilowski, who we talked about on One More Sleep. His 10 goals gone to Philadelphia Union right now, as if they needed help. Let's get into the lineups, and then we can talk all about what happened in this match. San Diego coming out in a 4-3-3, and that was goalkeeper CJ Dos Santos, who didn't have a clean sheet but played very, very well. Honestly, was really only forced to make 2 or 3 good saves, but they were all on Son Heung-min in this one, so that was kind of a bummer. Their back line of Christopher McVeigh, Manu Dua, Patty McNair, and the aforementioned Luca Bombino. In the midfield, MLS veteran Anibal Godoy, captain Yepe Tverskov, and U.S. men's national team hopeful Luca De La Torre. On the front line, Chucky Lozano, who certainly had a beautiful goal in this one, Oni Valakari, and I don't know, Philly. I think there are maybe two players right now in the running for the MVP. And one of them, we all know, plays in a pink shirt and does so in Miami and is still, in my opinion, the best player in MLS. And the guy who you and I just sat there and watched and just were so impressed by, forward Anders Dreyer, who came over from Anderlecht this season to play with San Diego. In the 18, the 5 that we would see subbed in were Ian Pilcher, Amal Pellegrino, Alex Maitin, who scored against us in the first match, Pedro Soma, and Leo Duru. We obviously would not see Pablo Cisniega or Tomas Angel in this one, former LAFC players. And that is Mikey Veris's 11 and 18. Philly, a little bit of a lineup change, a little bit of a formation change, obviously by necessity, but still an incredible lineup put out there by Steve Trundle.
So one other mention about the STFC lineup. For you United fans out there, I'm sure you remember Paddy McNair. He had his youth career there, a couple of caps there. Then he went to Sunderland till he died and went to Middlesbrough. And then I honestly, sometimes I forget that he is in Major League Soccer. Outstanding career. Northern Ireland cap 73 times. Having Paddy McNair there was kind of interesting in a lot of ways. Now, just going back to LAFC, 4-3-3. And as the public address announcer was going through the names, kind of got excited about a couple of things. And then you heard one thing, you scratch your head going, oh, interesting. But obviously in between the pipes, Hugo Lloris, Artem Smolyakov, Scarf's favorite player of the season in Kosi Tafari, Ryan Porteous, Sergi Palencia, and at midfield, number 4, Eddie Segura. And obviously that was like, it's something you don't hear very often. Marky Delgado, Matthew Chonier, and up top, Denny Bawanga, Heung-Min's son, David Martinez, Sung Heung-Min. However, I'm just going to call him Sonny this entire time. Like, you see the way people like write it. It's just Sonny from here on out. And obviously you see the level of talent he has. Exciting to have him here. All the Korean flags that were in the attendance, several of the 22,300 and change that were there. A lot of Korean flags. That was pretty dope. Coming off the bench, Ryan Raposo, Frankie Amaya, Nathan Ordaz, and off the top of my mind, it slips if anybody else came in, but I'm pretty sure that was it.
No, that was absolutely it. You are correct. And I love Philly's still having some trouble with either Son Heung-min or Heung-Min's son.
It just depends on who's writing it, but it's Sonny from here on out. But obviously you can go last name, the first name. It's Sonny.
Right. And look, by the way, I know MLSsoccer.com, I think, said a 4-3-3, right? But Steve Trundle was asked, I think, directly might have been Josh in the press conference. Eddie Segura, where was he playing? But he said he was playing as a center back, so I think they were trying to play 5 in the back. But we had Nkosi Tafari out there, so it was really 4 in the back either way, because I think he still plays for us sometimes. Philly, the atmosphere at kickoff, the 32-52 was raucous. We've got to educate our Korean fans out there real quick. What we do when we do our starting lineup is we say the first name, like Ugo, and then everybody in the crowd goes, Lloris, and it's like a whole big thing. They were so excited. All you heard from Eric Smith was son, and then the crowd just went, bah! And absolutely lost their mind. It was the coolest thing. It was the loudest that I've heard BMO Stadium in quite some time. But just say Heung-min and then scream like crazy people. That was pretty cool to see. Like I was definitely videoing it to see what would happen. And the crowd just went absolutely nuts. But, oh, by the way, when they got to the last guy, number 99, Denis, that is as loud of a boonga as I had heard in quite some time, too. What I love is how quickly the Korean fans have seemed to embrace Denis Bawanga as the running mate of Son Heung-min as well.
You want to go back to watch things? Yeah, go back to that. It's kind of funny, though, at times when, like, you hear him go, Artem, and it gets kind of quiet. Like, Smolyakov. People struggle with that name too. But yeah, you said it, man. I mean, it was a ruckus environment. 32-52 had a 32-52 logo tifo, which was dope. It felt like playoff atmosphere. It was as loud as it got. It was what we remembered from like the first couple of seasons. Obviously, it started to dissipate throughout LAFC's tenure, but like those first couple of games were extremely loud in the first couple of seasons. Games against Miami, MLS Cup final, playoffs against Galaxy. I mean, it was electric in the building for sure. And that's why my voice is a little raspy, because after LAFC scored their first goal in the 15th minute, I went a little wild. And with that, we should just 20 minutes, 40 minutes in, we should probably talk about that, dude. A thing of beauty, man. Total teamwork with LAFC's first goal, dude. Backline really worked.
Look, that's the thing, right? They got aggressive finally. Right, the ball over the top from David Martinez, and this is the.
But I mean, it even started previous to that with Tafari connecting with Ryan Porteous, going to Sergi Palencia, connecting with David Martinez. Like there were so many touches that created that goal, so it wasn't just from Martinez.
No, sure. And by the way, kudos to our fans when they did put up number 5, Ryan. I didn't hear anybody say Hollingshead, which was cool. Everybody did say Porteous when they were doing the starting lineups, but that's going to be interesting.
Fall, the last player that wore number 5?
Number 5, Mamadou Fall. Yeah. But yeah, it's going to be interesting because they'll play right next to each other when they play next game, right? So it'll be number 24, Ryan Hollingshead, and then number 5, Ryan Porteous. It's going to be fun. We're going to play Name That Ryan coming up soon. That'll be fun.
Well, we played Name That Maxim for a little bit because it still took me a while. Anytime I'd hear Maxim, I'd yell Crepeau rather than Chanot.
I mean, I still miss the days in 2019 when we were playing Name That Perez, but still. Look, that harkens back to a lot of stuff. Yeah, Philly, to me, what I always kind of marvel at is how David Martinez can seem relatively disinterested with his body language and the way that he plays out there on the pitch. And then to be the end of the number of great touches that it took to make that last goal, this perfect little pass over the top. And look, Denis is special. I don't need to tell anybody that. But, you know, what Denis tried to do later in the match was very different than what Denis tried to do early in the match, which is just put the damn thing on frame any way that you can. And that beautiful little flick, Philly, over CJ Dos Santos. I was so impressed by the pass from David, the goal, and now Philly, the second player in LAFC history to get to 90 goals, just 3 behind Carlos Vela, 4 for the record for LAFC. It's an incredible moment that we're going to see this season for sure at BMO.
Oh, man, Martinez just serves Denny on a silver platter with a blunt and a blintz and a cup of Sanka as he sanks a beauty past Dos Santos. Dude, that goal celebration, if you go back and watch it between David and Denny, was kind of endearing. D&D, and they broke out of their Dungeons and Dragons and unleashed the dragon for that first goal of the game. And going into 2025, 14-1-6 in all competitions. When we score the first goal, 2-10-5. When conceding first. So it should go well for LAFC, right? At home, scoring against the opposition, the top team in the West. No.
Ugh, yeah, no. And that's something that we need to talk about, right? Because last match we scored first and couldn't get 3 points. This match we score first and can't get 3 points. I do want to mention something, Philly, a little bit of a harbinger of things to come. Back there in the 9th minute as Anders Dreyer dribbled through pretty much everybody. And then Ugo had to make a nice save. That would be a harbinger of things to come. But Philly, how about that pass from Sergi Palencia, 25th minute, that cross that he had to Denis Bouanga there on the back post. And Denis just couldn't settle it down, right? LAFC had just tweeted out something from Denis. All it takes is one touch. And then that play happens. And it's like, well, maybe he could have had 2 touches on the ball on that one. But Sergi Palencia, we've seen this, Philly, time and time again, how dangerous he is in the attack when it comes to being able to kind of thread that needle and make a beautiful cross into a player like Denis Bouanga. Certainly, we hope to see that as well with Sonny. But I love that ball from Sergi. None of the players, though, on the back line for San Diego got caught ball watching like my buddy Nkosi Tafari in the 33rd minute.
Yeah, I mean, look, that would have been the punch to the kidney that we would have loved to have had if Denis would have converted that. And true, I think you said that right after the goal about the tweet. But, man, STFC with some needle threading of their own, dude. Patty McNair was a part of this, to Valakari, Anders Dreyer, and then Chucky Lozano. Dude, Chucky's run was just so perfect as he absolutely blazed past Nkosi Tafari and slotted home the equalizer. But, man, the passing there was just so precise. Anders Dreyer collects what I believe to be his 18th assist of the campaign. Guy led the league in assists coming into this one, obviously added another notch to the bedpost. But, wow, it was a great pass. Clever run by Chucky. You had a lot of boos coming from the 32-52 in the stadium when they were announcing Chucky Lozano as name in the starting lineup, because at one point he was somewhat linked rumor-wise to LAFC, and that would have been a great addition to have brought him in at the time. San Diego FC, we get the last laugh there. But Nkosi Tafari, got put in Chucky Lozano's back pocket, crumbled up and thrown away, and just not a good, like you said, harbinger of haggis things to come. That was a little line from So I Married an Ex-Murderer.
And look, the problem that I have is this is exactly what happened last match, right? Nkosi Tafari gets caught ball watching, has to come back, and the ball then is deflected. Nothing that Ugo can do about it.
Yeah.
And there are just so many times that you can see the same thing happen and not have to make a change. I'm sorry. I think that Tafari, as much as look, this is Scarf talking here for those of you just listening on a device rather than watching us on YouTube. And by the way, thank you for however you are consuming Defenders of the Bank content. I was the one that was calling for minutes for Nkosi Tafari. I was absolutely the one calling for minutes. I wanted to see him play. I wanted to give him a shot. I thought it would be really, really good. It hasn't been. It has been rougher and rougher. And look, Nkosi, if you listen to the podcast, we got to hold you to the fire just like anybody else. But like Philly, thanks for the comment there. But it was absolutely, I was the one calling for more playing time for Nkosi Tafari. Now, number 5, Ryan Porteous, please stay healthy. Please stay healthy, because I believe it should be you and Eddie Segura moving forward if we play 4 in the back. And we have the availability of all of our wing backs, all of our fullbacks that are out there with Artem Smolyakov, obviously Sergi Palencia and Ryan Hollingshead. As long as those guys are healthy, Ryan Porteous, you've got to be the guy, in my opinion, alongside Eddie Segura for the rest of the season. I was the conductor of the Tafari train. Thank you, Chris.
I love alliterations.
Philly, we saw Artem Smolyakov, another rocket over the bar there in the 38th minute, just kind of keeping everybody honest. And then a terrific save by CJ Dos Santos right before halftime on that Sonny shot. I mean, a beautiful diving save. You couldn't ask for more from Sonny in that one, maybe putting a little bit of air under it. But CJ Dos Santos, because he listened to our podcast and heard Philly talking crap, decided to play really well.
Yep, same as Martin Paz when Scarf talked bad about him.
Yohei Takaoka.
Yeah, from Vancouver. Yeah, absolutely. Look, we pelted them towards the end. I mean, Denny had a shot blocked by one of the San Diego's defenders. I think it was Dua. Porteous, he hit Sonny. That attempt was great. Beautiful save, like you said, from the outstretched arms of Dos Santos. And we would head in the locker room, tied at 1. Okay, so we got a game on our hands. Probably not surprising considering how good San Diego's played all season long. You know, if you want to talk about stats, we had 8 total shots, and 2 of them on target. They had 3 with 2 on target. Again, a tale as old as Steve Cherundolo's tenure here with LAFC. It's constantly outshooting the opponents. Conversion rates are on target rates low percentile, whereas the opposition high and very effective with their scenarios. Passing was what it was, 88% LAFC, 90% NAM. They picked us apart in terms of a lot of passing, 302 to our 190. We had 3 big chances, just weren't able to convert. More set piece opportunities, slightly less fouls committed, and that's your first half stats.
Yeah, second half, by the way, starts out Anders Dreyer with a shot, top of the box, deflected over the bar, continuing to remind everybody why he is so dangerous, why he is as dangerous as he is. And then Philly, it looked like a clean tackle, right? 55th minute, David Martinez, crunching tackle. I mean, he took all of the brunt of this one. But I know Ruben, his daughter, I believe, right, is number 1 on the David Martinez fan club. It looked like a tackle, unfortunately. Watched it back a couple of times, and nothing that I think should have been called anything differently than it was. It was just one of those good old-fashioned crunching tackles. And look, what we've seen, right, from Steve Cherundolo recently is that one of them plays 60 minutes and then the other plays 30, being David Martinez and Nathan Ordaz. This happened probably 5 to 10 minutes before David was probably going to come out for Nate, but Nate has to come on in the 58th minute for David Martinez. Asked about it in the press conference. Obviously, Steve Cherundolo said, look, it's too soon to know anything with David, but we should know more tomorrow. It didn't look bad as he came off, right? He was just a little limpy, a little worse for wear, but hoping that David Martinez is healthy.
Agreed. I mean, just like Scarf, a little limpy.
Yeah, but mine doesn't go away. He'll get healthier.
I mean, now you're telling everybody your personal problem, Scarf.
Listen, I'm opening up to the millions.
And millions. And after you heard they've gone limpy, maybe trillions.
Hey.
But it certainly changed the trajectory of the game. I mean, look, David had been playing pretty well up to that point. I saw a lot of nice spurts of activity coming from him in the first half. And again, that pass to Denny for the first goal of the game was a thing of beauty. Really thought he was having an excellent effort. And then the minute he went down, boom, had a bird's eye view of it. Or Nathan Ordaz checks into the game. I haven't gone through like his heat map or his touches or anything like that, but it just sucked to see Martinez, come out at that point of the game. Yeah, we go. And unless you have anything else, 65th minute, Sonny hits Artem with a low cross. They just missed that bottom corner. Like, no way for Denny to have made a play on that. I do credit Marky Delgado's hustle for trying to keep it in play. No dice. And then just moments afterwards, that's when we were the ones that absorbed the kidney punch from SDFC.
Yeah, Philly, it was basically on the restart, right? After, Denny kind of knew he was offside, so he had to leave it alone. That ball goes out because Marky Delgado can't get to it. I know. I apologize to Ruben in the chat.
Hold on. Let me restart, put up another, that one, yeah.
San Diego killed us in transition. Honestly, the ball ahead to Anders Dreyer was great. Everything in the buildup was great, but it was Anders Dreyer against 3 LAFC players, one of them being Ugo. I felt bad for Artem as Artem got put on skates there. He goes flying by. Eddie Segura tried to come back to help. I think it got deflected as well by one of the 2 defenders, right? I didn't see
it. Got deflected by Artem.
It was Artem, yeah, because he came back after being chopped up pretty good. I'll say this. I not only was that goal really deflating for LAFC, obviously, in the moment as we go down 2-1, but I actually think it affected the play of Denis Bawanga in the 82nd minute by maybe trying to duplicate the chop and double chop for his goal in the 82nd minute. I think he was trying to be a little bit too perfect, maybe seeing what Anders Dreyer did. But Philly, either way, after that 66-minute goal, even before that, we came away from this match. When I left Chicago and I was in Sonny's debut, I came away talking about Brian Gutierrez and how special he was for Chicago, even though he didn't do a ton of things that showed up on the stat sheet. Well, Anders Dreyer impressed the hell out of the both of us and did a ton of stuff that shows up on the back of his top soccer card. An absolutely unbelievable night for a guy who is again, like I said, one of 2 players in the running for the MVP as far as I'm concerned.
Dude, he gets the assist to Chucky and then the goal. I mean, this guy was man of the match with no question. He absolutely pecker slapped LAFC with his level of play. And look, there's a reason why the guy leads the league in dimes and is on the short list when it comes to league leaders in goals. Look, Dreyer the Dane got game. There's no other way to put it. I mean, the guy is outstanding. And all of us were cheering his name when he scored that goal against the Galaxy in the first game of the season. We all kind of got a little cackle going, ha ha. The team that was predicted to finish last is whooping up on the defending champs. Didn't realize, though, that he was going to turn around and have the season that he's been having. Again, I think it was at that point like 31 goal contributions on the year. I think it was actually 32 because one periodical read that he had 17 assists going into last night's game. Another one read that he had 16 assists. Sometimes you don't know what the deal is. You talked about how MLS had one formation. We lined up with another. You could go to FOTMob, a bunch of other places, and you could see stats and formations are all kind of like weary. But what wasn't weary is the fact that the great Dane Dreyer really does have game. He absolutely stuck it to us. Couldn't think of a better term to use other than he totally pecker slapped us.
You just wanted to throw that in there an extra time. Look, I think that right around the 74th, 75th minute is where LAFC totally changed, right? We went from a team that kind of sat back for a little bit in the second half to a team that really started pressing hard after going down that goal. But really, 73rd, 74th minute or so. I thought Sonny was trying to do a little bit too much with the ball, but Denis was the one called offside there in the 74th minute. I thought Sonny just needs to fire that damn ball in. And then in the 75th, I just thought, okay, LAFC had, Philly, how many times in the last 14, 15 minutes of the match was LAFC high press, turnover, high press, turnover, high press, turnover, really forcing San Diego off the ball, really dictating the pace of play. And then all of a sudden we get in and around the 18 and we all look like Timothy Tillman with his cement shoes right now, having no idea what to do with a ball inside our own box. I mean, other than Sonny's post that he hit in the 78th minute, which, by the way, wouldn't that have been an electric moment at BMO Stadium in his debut? Other than Sonny's post that he hits in the 78th minute and Denis Bouanga, an inexplicable 1v1 against CJ Dos Santos, where CJ just walks up to him and takes the ball off of his foot. I've never seen Denis do that before. LAFC couldn't figure out what to do with the ball in their own 18 for the last 15 minutes of the match.
No, frustrating. Yeah, I mean, the counter by Denis, like I think I was holding on to like Panda's arm. I'm like, this is it. This is it. And yeah, I was blown away by how that play got broken up. But yeah, look, we outshot them 9-1, as I mentioned at the top of the broadcast, in the final 24+9 in stoppage. But we couldn't get the job done. And I hate to say it, like we pressed them well. We did what the game plan spoke of, exploit their inexperienced defenders, attack press, beat them that way. But look, they had solid defending. They repelled all of LAFC's pressure in the second half. And look, CJ Dos Santos had 3 crucial saves, including the stunner on Sonny in stoppage. Look, they played us well. We had a high volume of shots. We created several clear chances. We had a strong start and goal by Denis, but we just couldn't get the job done. We lacked efficiency in finishing. 4 attempts of the 16 shots that we took were on target, with one of them being a goal. Like, so many missed opportunities. We gave way too much control to San Diego. And look, for Brillo Pad FC, despite the fact that they had a lower shot volume, they were clinical. And they were able to convert when they had their chances. And blaming Kosi Tafari, blame whoever, it just happens repeatedly. Teams don't need that many cracks at us to beat us that way. And it just sucks for guys like a Hugo Lloris, because we had both goals that came in off of deflections. What's a keeper to do in a scenario like that? The defenders get beaten, it deflects. That's not so much on him conceding those goals as it is on Nkosi Tafari. And obviously the pass that led to Dreyer's goal was outstanding. Smolyakov was put on skates. Segura bangs it off. Smolyakov dings, bings, past Lloris. I think I've summed up plenty enough. I think I'm going to shut up.
Yeah, look, it was frustrating, right? I asked Steve Cherundolo in the press conference how we go from chance creation, which is great, because Steve said something that I really disagreed with in the press conference when he said he really liked the club's execution. I think he needs to be a little bit
I think he meant to say he was in favor of it.
Right. I think what he needs to be is a little bit more specific. I think he liked their execution of being able to create chances. But you can't look at that match and say that you approve of the execution of our play in the final third. I likened it to giving a 10-year-old a scalpel right? Like a scalpel is meant to be a surgical tool. You put it in the hands of a 10-year-old,
scalpel.
it's going to be pretty gnarly. That's what it looked like out there. Sorry. Our good buddy in the chat, FTG, and I can't say his name here on the podcast.
I mean, I
and
can
the
if you
whole
want me
time,
to.
and the whole time Murillo is in the stands. Look, Lafferty talked about it, right? We were talking about it with him. He wanted to run down to HQ, grab one of those jerseys and slap Murillo on the back of it and find him in the stands and go, hey, Jesus, just casually walk down by the bench. Let Steve Trundle know you're ready to go. This is what, the second or third time we've seen him in the stands from FC Juarez. Muri, we would take you back.
Tristan Blackman was in the stands. I think he was sitting right next to Timothy Tillman.
Today or yesterday?
Well, no, certainly not today. If he's sitting in the stands with him right there, they must have like gone on a bender, Slippy style, Slippy World Tour style. No, he was. I'm pretty sure Blackman was in the stands.
That's awesome.
with Tillman. I saw a photo. Scarf, you and I are part of a chat. Go check that out. I mean, you could kind of tell it's Blackman. It certainly looked like it was Tristan Blackman.
I will certainly check that out. A little bit of an international break now, Philly, as LAFC does not play again until Saturday, September 13th at San Jose, which that match will be at Levi's Stadium, where the San Francisco 49ers play. And then Philly, we get to go back-to-back against Real Salt Lake, first in beautiful Sandy, Utah on September 17th. And then our next home game doesn't come until September 21st. Real Salt Lake coming in to BMO Stadium. Real Salt Lake looking to solidify a playoff spot. LAFC looking to maybe try to get a home game in these playoffs. I have one last thought, Philly, and then I am done for the day. I think that we all now, as if many of our supporters didn't already kind of think this, although bringing in Sonny may have buoyed your helps a little bit. I think now with this loss against San Diego, we all need to stop thinking about the Western Conference title. I don't care how many games in hand we have against however many teams that we play. We are going to need far too much help in far too little time for LAFC to be able to win the West. I think that what we need to concentrate on for the rest of this season is keeping our roster as healthy as humanly possible so that we can put the best lineup out there week after week in order to secure as many points to get a home playoff match, because that is what it is going to take for LAFC to be able to get into the quarterfinals, the semifinals, the conference final, whatever it might be. We need to be able to play at home, and we need to be able to figure some things out. So unfortunately, we can probably kiss the Western Conference goodbye for 2025.
I mean, I think that's fair to say. I think the goal at this point has always been to finish top four to get that home playoff spot. And I would say the way that we've seen things, that the season would have been cooked prior to Sonny joining our roster. I do think that gave us an injection of life and excitement, as was exhibited prominently at BMO Stadium last night. But yeah, finishing in the top four, finishing healthy would be great. More importantly, trying to get some results on the road. We've only won 3 games on the road, and a big portion of why San Diego has been as good as they are is because they get it done on the road. I think they've won their 7th straight away win. They're 10-4-0 on the road, 7-3-5 at home. I mean, that's how you win in this league, is getting it done on the road. LAFC can't get it done on the road, and lately, and just not getting it done at home either.
And the thing again that's starting to scare me a little bit, Philly, is we keep talking about the record under Steve Trundle when scoring first, and yet these last 2 matches, not only did we not win last match and just have to come away with a point, this one at home, scoring first and looking like the better side, to not come away with any points is a little bit worrisome at this point. But Philly, we've got a little bit of time to think about it, a little bit of time off until we play at San Jose September 13th. We will come back on episode 381 and talk all about that in a couple of weeks. In the meantime, you guys, however you access our Defenders of the Bank content, we so appreciate and love you, and you know how we like to end each and every one of our episodes. Bye-bye.